Hey everybody, how's it going? It's the Daily Shooter. Boy, do I got a hot one for you today. So earlier I was on Twitter reading tweets from the Firearms Policy Coalition, and I saw something on there that absolutely made me click it, read it, and follow it right down the rabbit hole. And this one right here is definitely one that I want to share with you, so stay tuned. Okay, so let's go ahead and put an image of the tweet right up here so you guys can read it for yourself. If you're on a phone and the font's too small, I'll read it for you and then we'll go ahead and we'll talk a little bit about it. But it's the second part of the tweet that to me is the most concerning, because I guarantee you if this person believes this wholeheartedly, then there's a lot of other people out there that believe the exact same thing. So let's go ahead and read the first part of the tweet, which I believe is a continuation to an existing conversation, but I don't have the rest of the conversation. So we're going to go ahead and start here where he says, nope, why? And then it goes on to the part that I actually want to talk about. There are crucial differences between household guns and assault weapons. The damage caused by assault weapons are unequivocally lethal. These weapons destroy whatever lies in their path. Bump stocks, modifiers, and silencers are not household self-defense machinery. Okay, so obviously this is a tweet from somebody who is purposefully ignorant. And what I mean by that is they have an agenda, and their agenda doesn't actually match up with the facts. So they choose to be ignorant and just talk about the things that they feel that would affect people the most, instead of actually learning the truth or learning the facts or explaining the facts to people. They're purposefully ignorant and just spew whatever information might help their cause. That's kind of what we have here. But the one line that kind of got me out of that first tweet was, these weapons destroy whatever lies in their path. As if they're this somehow magical unicorn tank-piercing bullet or something, which is, as we all know, absolutely not the case whatsoever. Now, like I said before, it's not necessarily that first part. You know, we see him do that all the time. It's just fear-mongering, right? So it's not the first part of the tweet that really got me. It's the reply to a comment that he got. So a second tweet, basically, where the question, or the comment question that he got was, his interpretation of 2A rights might have something to do with it. So that was underneath that original tweet, to which the original tweeter replied, sure did. What the Constitution says and the rubbish that the NRA keeps putting out about Second Amendment is a false narrative. The Second Amendment is a right held by the states and does not protect the possession of a weapon by a private citizen. Do your research. Okay, so he's telling the guy that commented above, do your research, learn a little bit of something about the Second Amendment, understand the Second Amendment better. You know, check your facts. The Second Amendment protects the state, not the people. Okay, so like I was saying before, if this person truly believes this, if he truly believes that the Second Amendment is there to protect a state, I guarantee you that there are a lot of other people out there that believe the exact same thing. And so that's what we're up against. That's why I'm making this video, because it's important to know exactly what you are up against. And so we're up against people who would basically change the actual meaning of the Second Amendment to a state right just because it sounds better for their cause. And so they will try and modify and change things and look at things through a different lens in order to get the outcome that they want, other than just reading it verbatim and taking it for what it actually says. If they took it for what it actually says, it wouldn't fit their agenda. And so they need to try and share their view on the Second Amendment with everybody else to try and get them to believe it as well. And they try and make it sound as fancy as possible too, so that people might believe that there's actually some validity there, which we know that there's not. So here's the problem with all this, okay? A lot of people who are gun control activists like to kind of glam on to the first part of the Second Amendment, the part before the comma. Now, this is why you might want to keep a pocket constitution with you so that you can show them how they're wrong and keep this as a reference. But in the first part of the Constitution, it says a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, comma. They like to hold on to that and say, look, in the Second Amendment, it says the militia, right, to protect a free state. So basically what they're trying to do in the Second Amendment is make sure that the militia has arms to protect the free state. That's what the Second Amendment is all about. Completely forgetting the second part of the Second Amendment where the Constitution says, comma, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. They completely forget about that part and they hold on just to the first part. Now, this, for some reason, has been so confusing to so many people, which I don't understand why. It's actually been something that they've talked about at the Supreme Court, where they've actually clarified that the people's right to keep and bear arms is an actual individual's right. But if you were to throw that in there to a gun control activist, it doesn't fit their agenda, so they just completely forget about that altogether. The right to keep and bear arms is a people's right. Now, back in the day, they didn't really want a standing army. So the militia was extremely important, and that's why they wrote that in there. So the militia was very important at the time, right? There was militias, they didn't really believe in a standing army, so they wrote that in there. And then they also made sure to mention that the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I suggest that whoever believes that the first part of the amendment is there to protect the state in some way, or that the right of the people to keep and bear arms is there to protect the state, actually do a little bit of history and a little bit of research yourself, because you are completely wrong, and that's actually been verified by the Supreme Court of the United States. So we know that we have an individual right to keep and bear arms, and what they're doing is simply perverting the Second Amendment. So I thought I would share that with you, know what you're up against, know who is out there trying to take these away from you. It's people who just choose to be ignorant, period. Please like, subscribe, have a great day.